Hello, and thank God it's 420, man. Let's get high. I'm just in a really quandary. I've been on the phone for an hour and a half with Apple and Verizon. I can't get my phone to work. If I can't get my phone to work, then I can't get an Uber, and then I can't go to my gig tonight. So I'm a bit flipped out. But I have time. And in the meantime, we can do this. So I wanted to continue, particularly since sort of a continuation of what I've been talking about this week, to continue to speak about history. And see, the problem with history is the history is written by the victors. So it's never really a true history. Even Josephus, famous Jewish general who became a historian for Rome, their main historian. He went through, even from in recounting the beginning of creation, he makes something up. He doesn't say what the Torah says, because that's what they want to do. They want to rewrite like the whole thing, and as a result, history gets skewed and gets forgotten, and pretty soon we don't know where we are. But the one history that we can rely upon, even though it's not written to be history, is prophecy. And the books of prophecy, the Torah and the Quran. So it's not that they're historical, but since they're prophecy, that history cannot veer, far from prophecy. And a lot of, the prophetic text, whether it's talking in the future, talking what happened during that time, that's what we have. That's truth in the world, is prophecy. And then later, we got the oral Torah, the Talmud, and creation began to take on a life of its own. History takes on a life of its own. And even though other people try to skew the truth, say something different, that it's very difficult to do that in the face of the truth. And so many things that the Torah says, we look at the world and we see that, these are really true things. For example, and it's kind of like what I wanted to talk about today, that, the world, our world is called Tevel. And Tevel is a gematria of 432, which is is 432 hertz, that how the earth vibrates. And music until, World War II was tuned at 432 hertz. And then they changed it to 450 or something like that. And perhaps that did something, to the human psyche. And the other thing about the word Tevel, which is very interesting, is Tevel is a word used in the Torah when describing a human being having sex with an animal, whether it's a woman having sex with a male animal or a man having sex with a woman animal. That this is called Tevel. What does it have to do with the earth? Because the human being is made from a combination of the human soul and the animal soul. The human soul, gives us our thoughts and our morality, and the animal soul, gives us our passion and our depression. And, the animal could be all sorts of things. It's angry. These are all sorts of animal things. And the human being is built with the head above the heart, so that the head, the human part, of it depicts more the human being standing erect, head before heart, meaning that the intellect overrules the heart, which animals they can't do. Animals just do what they want to do, and there's a lot of people like that too. Like the prick down a mocha loco, and they just want to do whatever they want to do, and somehow feel that they have a right to do that. And the reason is because of the person's animal nature. And sometimes people just let their animal get out of control. And if they live in a certain way where they can do whatever they want to do, then pretty soon they think their animal is invincible and their shit doesn't smell. But not only do people have animals, but also countries have animals, nations have animals. For example, the United States. So the United States is known as the eagle. And truly, we fly above all other nations because we are an immigrant nation made of people from all over the world. And in that, we are the highest of nations and a beautiful nation. We ever let ourselves be what we are. And also the lion, the famous that the lion will lie down with the lamb. So this is talking about the Arab people and the Jewish people. We are the Semitic people. And eventually, now in our times, we need to make peace with one another, because until the Arabs and the Jews make peace with one another, they can't really make peace with the Palestinians, who are not Arabs or Jews or Semitic. And that's the prophecy that the lion will lie down with the lamb, because certainly the lion, like the last lion was Saddam Hussein, called say the lion of Babylon, and Babylon, the Middle East, famous for their lions. Many stories about little lions. They say the story of what's his name? I think it's the Orchaim. No, I don't know. I can't remember his name. But this dude is probably about 500 years ago. See, he was on a caravan going through the desert in the Middle East. Israel. Wherever. They didn't have such borders then, and it got to Shabbat, and the people in the caravan, they were Jewish, but they said, "Look, this is a sakana. This is we can't stop out here because there's lions out here, and even though it's Shabbat, we're going to keep going." So he said, "Go, go. I'm going to stay. I'm not going to travel on Shabbat." So sure enough, middle of the night came a lion. So it says they pulled down his pants and showed him he was circumcised. And the lion laid down and let this great man sleep upon him. So anyways, there are many, and of course you have the lion, Yehuda is exemplified by the lion. But certainly the lion laying down with the lamb, and the Jewish people have certainly been a lamb over the last 2,000 years, getting slaughtered everywhere they went. So that's the idea of, and Egypt is considered like the birthplace of creation. And certainly you have like the Russian bear and the Asian dragon. So we have these animals. And what do you have for Rome? So the Talmud, it depicts Rome as a pig with a ring through it, with a golden ring through its nose. Because see, pigs, they're very heavy and you can't really push them or pull them. They might just, sit on you. Then you're in big trouble. And so how do you move a pig? That you put a ring through its nose, and wherever you pull the ring, so like a bit for a horse, you put this bit in its mouth, and wherever you pull it, the horse will go. With a pig, it's a ring in the nose. And I guess they have very sensitive noses. And if you pull that way, they're going to go that way. And the idea of a golden ring is that Rome, you always hear this, like, politicians and stuff, and, follow the money. That's what Rome, they say, follow the money, because that's what Rome does. They follow the money. It's a golden ring. Whenever there's money, they're going to go there. And if there was money and peace, there would be peace all through the world. Because that's what Rome is after, is the money. And there's a thing about the pig, which very much exemplifies Rome. And the Torah goes out of its way, when talking in Parsha Shemini, and in the middle of the Torah, these guys they counted every words, and they're in Vayikra, in the third part of the Torah, the middle of the Torah. There's a number of places where it tells you this is the middle between the number of words. In other words, there's just as many number of words on this side as on the other side. And then there's another place that tells you the letters, that there's the equal amount of letters on both sides, and it's referred to by like a larger letter or a turned letter. These guys, they counted every letter. They knew everything. They were really into the Torah, and they wrote all this stuff. And one of the things they wrote is that that Rome is a pig with a golden ring through his nose. And then in the Torah itself talks about the pig. It's counting all the kosher animals, what's kosher, what's not kosher. And to be a kosher animal, you have to have cloven hooves, and not just split hooves, but you have your cloven hooves. And you have to have multiple stomachs. And in recounting these different animals, it makes a point of saying, and the pig is the only animal in the world who has cloven hooves, but only has one stomach. Only the pig. And certainly this needs to be interpreted. The pig is just different from all other animals. And even more so, that the name of the pig is Chazir. And the Chazir means return. And it says one day the pig will return and become kosher, because it has one of them. And even more than that, the pig, when it sleeps, it is always putting its legs out, as if to say, hey, look, I'm kosher. See? But inside, it not only has one stomach. And what is the meaning of this? Well, the difference between one stomach and many stomachs. When you have many stomachs, the animal eats something, and then it starts chewing it up and goes into another stomach, and eventually comes back up, and the cow keeps chewing it and chewing it and chewing it until it is, I think the microbiotics, they'd say you have to, chew your food. It's not like drink your food. Chew it until you can drink it, to get everything out of it. And that's what the cow does, and the lamb does, and the goat does, and all these kosher animals. That's what they do. Other animals, they don't have cloven hooves, and they only have one stomach, like the horse. I mean, there are many animals, and they're not kosher animals, and they just eat. But the pig, because it has this outer aspect of kosher, that it can say, look at me, I'm kosher, see? But inside, there's only one stomach, and what's one stomach is the opposite, that it just consumes. It just consumes and consumes and consumes. It consumes everything. It even consumes the roots, where other animals will go through, will eat the branches, will eat the leaves, will eat the the plants. The pig, the pig goes in and eats the roots. And when the roots get eaten, then the rain comes, and there's nothing to hold the water, and it turns into mud. And that's why the pigs are always in the mud. They love the mud. They're kosher. They say they're kosher, but they love the mud. And these are like our politicians, They're saying, oh, yeah, we're kosher, man. They go through all these different things to show everyone they're kosher. But inside, we know that they're not kosher. What are they? They just want as much as they can. They don't want to take what they have and let's make something out of it, and let's try to not use a lot. But no, they want the opposite. They want excess. That's how it comes this idea of like pigging it up, means that you're taking more than you need. Why are you taking so much? Because, they want to. And this is a kind of animal, it's interesting that the lamb, also has a characteristic about eating that if you leave, lamb's a very nice animal, really everyone likes the lamb, who doesn't like a lamb? But if you leave them alone with food, they'll eat so much until they burst. They don't know to say no. It's not just excess. They just don't know how to stop eating. And there are people like that, very nice people. They just don't know how to stop eating. They get fatter and fatter, and they have a problem. But the people who just like excess, it's not sort of an animal thing. It's just they're pigs, and they just want to make the ground as muddy as possible because only pigs like that. And mud. The pig goes for it, and the rest of it are like, it's not worth it. And that's how you get these pigs in office, because nobody else wants to put up with this. And you can really see that during the time of like Clinton and that Gingrich guy. And they just muddied politics to such a degree that people were just quitting all over the place because no one wanted, that wasn't their idea, of doing politics. I'm not a fan of politics, but it used to be where people, it was the science of the lie, and no more is it the science of the lie. Now it's just the lie. You don't need science. You can just proclaim whatever you want, and everything has equal validity, it seems. So there's a really, the pig is called chazer, which means to return. So how does that fit into everything? It says that the pig will return and become kosher. So that's where we see like the Catholic Church, because they're the ones more than anyone claiming that they got the truth. The truth is God's a Jewish rabbi, Koran calls a prophet. And that's God, and they nail him to a cross and make everyone believe in him, bow down to him, or else they kill them. This is how they got, Christianity around the world. They killed all the people who said, this is ridiculous, man. They killed them. Left all the weak ones who would say, yeah, I'll bow down to anything. I just want to live. And this story, has just, this story is everywhere in the world. Us Jewish people, we know everywhere we go, this fucking story follows us, even though there's no historical corroboration whatsoever that Jesus even lived. The only way we know that is corroborated by the Quran, because Quran's prophecy. When I began learning the Quran and realized it was prophecy, then I had to accept Jesus. Because in prophecy, everything in prophecy is true. We may not necessarily understand it in the way it means, because in prophecy is written in a way to almost cause misunderstanding. For example, that it's written in the Quran and in chastising the Jewish people, the people of the book, that we dared to change the word. And that can be understood in two ways. And when people hate the Jewish people, they understand that you can't take the Torah because the rabbis changed it. So therefore, we don't know what it was. Or we can look at it through love and ask the Jewish people, hey, what about this, man? And they'll tell you, yes, it's true. One word in the Torah was not so much, it was changed, and we don't know the tradition to it. We just don't know. We don't know if it was an aleph or a hey. And that one word, we kept everything perfect for 3,500 years, but that one thing we don't know. And the Ashkenazis, the Jews up in the north, it seems that they had the right version, and the ones in Israel seem to have the wrong version, from what I've understood. Nonetheless, the rabbis, who were very strict about everything, said that elu direl kimchayim, that they're both correct. Which they are. It doesn't change the meaning at all. It changes the numerology of the Torah. When you put all of the final sum together, it changes it by 4, from an aleph to a hey. And that's certainly what it means in the Quran, that we, in heaven they're very exacting, and we're given the Torah, and that we let one word be changed. In heaven's a big deal. Down here, it's not such a big deal. It's so hard to keep everything together. But they're very strict in heaven, and that's where the Quran is prophecy. It comes from heaven. So that's what they said. So it gives an opportunity for to be able to look at it with a good eye or a bad eye, and then that becomes the choice of the human being. They have the prophecy, but they can look at it this way or look at it that way. Of course, which is not, the same as the Bible, which is just a complete lie from beginning to end. And there's nothing in that anyone should take as real, because they changed the title of it. Torah means teaching. They changed it to Testament. So and that is a big change, because in Torah means to teach, and teaching requires questions, and Testament just shut up. It's dogma. So they changed the title, and with that, they changed everything inside of it. And if people want to know about the beautiful Torah and the beautiful teachings of the Jewish people, they're very available. You don't have to go to a Jewish store. You just go online, and everything's been translated into English and a bunch of other languages, because we're the people of the book. And we're supposed to share our knowledge. There's really nothing that, a person can't do. You don't have to be Jewish to do it. You just have to want to learn the Torah. And God's very happy with it. Jewish people were commanded to learn the Torah. Someone else wants to learn even better. And so Rome, in order for them to return, because we see that, Christian people, I think in the general, they're good people who've just been led astray. And they want to connect with God. They've been told there's some, Jewish dude up on the cross, and that ain't true, man. Jews are not God. This whole story is an anti-Semitic, racist story against the Jewish people. You want to know God? God is there for you. It's not about monotheism. That's nowhere in the Torah. But rather that God is one means that the creator of creation is everywhere to everyone all the time. There's nothing that you have to special believe or anything. Just experience the creator, experience creation, have a relationship with the creator. And that's going to get you closer than any religion. Why? Because that's what God wants. God just wants to have a relationship with everyone. God wants to be known and low. Someone commented, "Ein od milvado," that there's nothing but God. And that's the truth, because everything is a name of God, and everything was made out of the names of God. So ultimately, we're all a piece, not of God. God doesn't have any pieces, but you're all part of the Or Ein Sof. We're all connected. Everything, just incredibly stupid religion, forcing people to do and forcing people to think in dogma until they're willing to stand up for some criminal like this prick and Moco Loco. They're all loco. And it's just like, it's just unbelievable. It's just really unbelievable. And so the only way to counteract, this certainly is to bring light into the situation, which is that's what's happening. And but until then, Rome has the opportunity to repent, to return. What do they need to do? It's simple. They need to take the Jew down from the cross, take the whole cross down. The cross is a sign of Mars, because Mars is the previous world called Tohu. And in Tohu, that instead of having, 3 columns, that's how everything is built in 3 columns, right, left, and middle. In Tohu, it was like a serpent or an arrow that had a triangular head, and then it had the 7, a line of 7 beneath it, and that's how animals were created, and that's why animals mate one behind, from the behind. That's how they mate. And women were also made there. So you can mate with a woman like that too. But to be a human being really has to do with being face to face and naked, because that's what's true. And Rome, has got to like get naked, take all this bullshit off. And you want to get close to God. And Christian people they got to get rid of, they got to take Jesus down from the cross and take the cross down. It's a symbol of Mars. And that's what Rome always prays to. And I'm sure that, the vast majority of Christians they're not interested in being part of Rome. They want to get close to God. And it's fine if one wants to do it through a prophet, whether it's Jesus or Moses or whoever, but you should know that we don't pray to our prophets. We recognize them, we acknowledge them, we say nice things. I was once talking to a number of to Muslims, and every time I mentioned a character from the Torah, they would say this thing about like peace to the prophet. It got to the point I couldn't hardly say anything. I mentioned name, they would say this. They're very devotional people, but neither of us pray to our prophets, even though Muhammad is the last prophet and an Arab prophet. They don't pray to Muhammad. They might pray. They might feel a closeness with Muhammad, like people feel with Jesus, and ask Muhammad to pray to God for them. That's a different thing. You're allowed to do that. I don't think Arabs actually do that. But I mean, other people, the Semitic people, that you're allowed to do this, called shitfus, and you're allowed to pray to a spiritual being, to pray to God for you. But you have to recognize that being can't do nothing for you. Only God can. And for whatever reason, you don't feel comfortable asking God. So you're going to ask, it's like you go and ask the priest, go ask God for it. The priest doesn't know nothing, The spiritual beings, they know more. And if you really feel like that you're just too embarrassed to stand before God, then you can ask some spiritual being, do it for you. That's allowed. But this story, this anti-Semitic racist story, has to end in order for Rome to chazir, to turn and to be kosher again and be able to enjoy the beautiful creation Creator gave to us, all of us equal, because each one of us is unique. And that's what God loves. God loves that unique person. And, more than that, until we get that, God's not so happy. So it's not like we all have to, get the guy who's the unique person. We all have to help each other to be unique. I mean, just when you have children, and when the children start acting things that they're not, you want to tell them, hey, man, that ain't you. You just put on an act. Just be you, because that's what you want. You want the child to be who they are, because that's who God created. And that's what we want from all of us, and to make room for all of us, that we can all do what we're supposed to do to please God, rather than pleasing some capitalistic bullshit that's just going to make a few people rich so they can go up to the moon and leave the rest of us in pollution. I mean, the whole thing is ridiculous as their religion. So anyways, it's getting to my half-hour time, and I have to go back and battle with this phone. And in the meantime, have a very nice Shabbat. And, each Shabbat is called by a name, and this is Balasacha, which starts with Aaron, who lights the candles. And the reason that he lights the candles, because in the previous parshas, Noseh, that all the tribes brought sacrifices, but not Aaron. So God said to Moshe, say to Aaron, hey, yours is better than all of them, because you light the candles and you make the light go up. And Aaron is known as being Rod of Shalom, that he was a man who always ran after Shalom, after peace, and made peace between man and woman. And because of that, when Aaron passed away, the people actually cried more for Aaron than later when Moshe passed away, because he was Rod of Shalom. So God willing, we should all be Rod of Shalom, run after peace, have a peaceful world, a peaceful Shabbat, a peaceful life. Peace means whole. like everything. And because if you don't have peace, you got nothing. You got peace, you got it all. All right. Thank you very much for watching. Dovidhouse.com. Check it out. Bye.